Knock it off, people. Knock it off. Take a listen to this.
Because this is the foul. Let's run the video here, please, producers. DiJonai Carrington was assessed a flagrant 2 for this play on Sophie Cunningham. A flagrant 2 is a foul that is both excessive and unnecessary. Right?
You hit her all in the head.
Right, that is the definition.
Assault.
Shit. So after the game, Fever coach Stephanie White was asked for her view of this foul. This is what she said.
Monica McNutt joined Andrea Carter in defending DiJonai Carrington following the flagrant foul that resulted in Sophie Cunningham being struck in the head. Rather than criticizing the play, they described it as a standard basketball action. They characterized Carrington, a player who has often faced criticism for her physical style of play, as an intense competitor simply doing what was necessary during the game. According to McNutt and Carter, Carrington's actions did not cross the line but were instead part of normal competition. However, many fans strongly disagreed with that interpretation. For some viewers, the discussion went beyond basketball analysis and became part of a much larger debate. Critics accused both analysts of defending a particular narrative rather than focusing on the principles of fair play and player safety. The controversy has continued to grow, leading to criticism directed at ESPN and raising broader questions about consistency within the WNBA. What do you think? Were Monica McNutt and Andrea Carter offering an objective assessment of the play, or were they being overly protective of DiJonai Carrington? Share your thoughts in the comments.
DiJonai didn't make this play successfully, right? Trying to get a block over the top. It was a very hard foul. DiJonai has made this play successfully so many times throughout her career. No matter what team she has played on, we have seen DiJonai make transition blocks.
Right.
So to me, this, I understand it was called.
So what? So what? It sounds like you making excuses for Andrea Carter. We've seen her have plenty of dirty plays. Skylar Diggins, Sarah Ashley Barker, all types of stuff. I can name like 5 or 6 of them. What are you talking about here?
A flagrant 2. I wouldn't have been mad if it was called a flagrant 1 because I do think she was making a basketball play. It was just a hard.
What?
A narrative quickly emerged, and it immediately divided the basketball community. Andrea Carter and Monica McNutt were quick to defend DiJonai Carrington, arguing that the flagrant 2 foul was simply the result of a basketball play. However, the officiating crew had already reached a different conclusion. The contact was ruled both excessive and unnecessary. For many viewers, striking a player in the head while she's airborne went far beyond physical competition. They saw it as the type of play that carries a serious risk of injury. Despite that ruling, McNutt and Carter continued to argue that the play should be viewed within the context of normal basketball action. McNutt encouraged fans to avoid making immediate judgments about Carrington's intentions, while Carter continued to emphasize the idea that the collision occurred during a legitimate attempt to make a play. Critics, however, argued that previous incidents and a player's history should also be considered when evaluating a dangerous foul. They believed those factors were being overlooked during the discussion. The debate intensified when Stephanie White addressed the incident. Rather than delivering a strong public defense of Sophie Cunningham, her comments were viewed by some as measured and restrained. That response, according to critics, gave McNutt and Carter additional support for their position. The controversy eventually expanded beyond a single foul. Opponents of that viewpoint argued that repeatedly defending dangerous plays could normalize them and contribute to a culture in which excessive physicality becomes increasingly acceptable on the court.
Time, it's really hard to be
Correct.
able to see this. This is why there are so many replays. This is what you're talking about when you say making a play.
Yeah, so in this, and it's hard to tell because of where the graphic is, but she's trying to make a play on the ball. In reality, Sophie Cunningham got higher than DiJonai off the ground. DiJonai is behind Sophie Cunningham. She's late to make this play. She's not in the right position to make the block and make the play on the ball, and so she ends up hitting Sophie Cunningham in the face.
And I think,
Man, stop it, Andrea Carter, man. Get these goofy chicks.
Andrea Carter then shifted the conversation away from intent and toward positioning, arguing that the play was the result of poor timing rather than deliberate misconduct. The discussion centered on the idea that DiJonai Carrington found herself in an unfavorable position while attempting to make a defensive play. Monica McNutt echoed that perspective, suggesting that the contact occurred because Carrington was out of position. Critics, however, viewed that explanation as an attempt to minimize the seriousness of the foul. Those who disagreed with the analysts argued that the discussion transformed an act they considered overly aggressive into an unfortunate basketball collision. They questioned the idea that a professional athlete simply miscalculated a defensive pursuit that ended with significant contact to an opponent's head and neck. Many commentators also compared the incident with previous eras of women's basketball. Some argued that the standards surrounding physical play have changed as professional sports have placed greater emphasis on player safety and injury prevention. Critics further pointed to Carrington's history of controversial on-court incidents, arguing that a player's track record should be part of the conversation when evaluating dangerous plays. They believed that previous incidents involving aggressive physical contact deserved greater attention during the ESPN discussion. Others defended McNutt and Carter, maintaining that analysts should evaluate individual plays on their own merits rather than relying heavily on a player's reputation. As the debate intensified, criticism expanded beyond the foul itself and began to focus on ESPN and the WNBA. Some fans argued that the network's coverage sent the wrong message about physical play, while others believed the reaction to the analysts was excessive. Questions about the league's image, player safety, and media responsibility quickly became central themes. Critics argued that downplaying dangerous plays could negatively affect the league's reputation and create concerns among fans, sponsors, and players. Supporters of Sophie Cunningham also expressed frustration, arguing that too much attention was placed on defending Carrington and not enough on the player who absorbed the contact. For them, the controversy highlighted broader concerns about accountability and consistency in discussions surrounding player safety.
That's what she's done throughout her career.
And she's hurt many people doing it. She's hurt many people doing it. You didn't know. Why didn't you play the Skylar Diggins clip? Why didn't you play her pulling Sarah Ashley Barker out the air by her ponytail? Why didn't you play any of the other dirty things she's done, poking people in the eye? She done. Come on,
But I
man.
just want to make it known, it wasn't DiJonai versus Sophie Cunningham. That's DiJonai Carrington versus anybody.
I think that is incredible context, and I'd love the video to support that. The other part, though, to me is like...
This moment became the defining point in the debate surrounding Monica McNutt and Andrea Carter's defense of DiJonai Carrington. The discussion was no longer focused solely on the collision involving Sophie Cunningham. Instead, critics argued that the conversation had expanded into a broader defense of Carrington's style of play as a whole. According to those critics, McNutt and Carter moved beyond explaining a single incident and began defending Carrington's overall approach to the game. Supporters of that viewpoint argued that the analysts portrayed her aggressive playing style as a positive trait rather than addressing concerns about player safety. The controversy intensified as accusations of media bias began to surface. Some fans claimed that the analysts were prioritizing a particular narrative instead of offering an objective evaluation of the play. Critics also expressed concern about the potential long-term impact of these discussions. They argued that repeatedly defending highly physical plays could encourage more aggressive behavior on the court and create confusion about where the boundaries of acceptable competition should be. Others worried that inconsistent reactions to similar incidents might lead players to question how fouls are judged and enforced throughout the league. The debate eventually grew into a larger conversation about accountability, media responsibility, and the role of television analysts in shaping public opinion. Those who disagreed with McNutt and Carter argued that commentators should focus on impartial analysis rather than appearing to advocate for one side. For many observers, the incident became a test of how the league, its broadcasters, and its analysts approach issues involving physical play and player safety. The central question remains the same. Where should the line between aggressive competition and dangerous play be drawn? Share your thoughts in the comments.